Hi, everyone. I think we are going to go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining us today. The topic for our Lunch and Learn today is features that are coming soon to TransIT, so TransIT 4.0. So the meeting is going to be quite short today, but these are the agenda items. We will show you creating new tasks from within a workflow, creating new tasks from within a scenario, and then a new menu item that is called plans. So I am actually going to go into TransIT and show you directly from TransIT. So right now I have gone into workflows, and I'm just going to show you adding a new task to a workflow that already exists. So I'm going to go into this document, enter bracket basic admission. And I thought this would be an okay example because I thought I would add a task for completing a COVID screening, which I'm sure is something that people are going to start to need to include. So first I'm going to just add this task. Past 998, so moving to the next segment. And I know that because COVID is still a relatively new thing, we don't have a task that's created just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click insert here because I want to insert my task above the document, sign task. So I'm going to click insert. And so now beside the search field, you can see that there is a new link that says new task. So sorry, I will mention that right now I'm in our demo organization. So our this content isn't live just yet inside TransIT. It's going to be coming in our next release. So you won't see these features just yet. We'll definitely send out a notification when the release is live. So I know that the task that I'm wanting to insert here is not created yet. So I'm going to use this new task link that's on the side here. When I click that link, you can see I've got a bunch of fields that are displayed for me. So just like when you're creating a task at the task level, you're going to need to give your task a name. So I'm going to do document, add detail, screening. And I'm going to leave the service and subservice blank, but these are fields that you can complete just like at the regular task level. My vendor is going to be Cerner. And my description is going to be completing the COVID screening. On there. So these first fields are what we call the outside of the task. And now you can see these are the fields that you'll see when you're on the inside of your task. So I want to select my product. So in this case, we're inside Power Chart. And it's going to be care documentation and power forms. And now you can select either your role or your role type. I'm going to select the role type of, nurse. You can see when I selected my option from the drop-down list that it was displayed under here with the red X. That allows me to add multiple. So if I then wanted to continue to add more roles, I would just continue to select my options from the drop-down list and they'll be added underneath to show that they've been added to my task. And then you can see we've got our action and outcome columns. So let's say I'm going to make my action, enter details into COVID screening questionnaire. And I'm going to put in a details placeholder. And then we'll just make my outcome details. So you can continue to add actions and outcomes as you need. There's no link for the details. You'll need to actually manually type in the details. So you want to make sure if you are using more than one details field inside a single action or outcome box, that you are making sure that you put in the number. And once you've finished all of the actions and outcomes, you'll want to click Save on the bottom here. And now you can see that that task was added to my workflow. So I didn't need to go outside of workflows into tasks. I was able to insert my new task right inside my workflow. So you can see, because I just created this task, that there's the icon here letting me know the QA has not been completed for my task. So I can then click into my task here. And once I've done that, you can see that the task looks just like a task would look if created from the task menu item. And then I can complete the QA on my task, on my task. And then if I was to go back out, you can see that the QA is completed. So the steps are all very much the same from that point. So it's just, again, I could either click Add Task to create new tasks at the end of my workflow, or I can use the Insert to insert tasks into a specific spot in my workflow. And then if I was to use the details link to look at what my workflow looks like, you can see here's my new task at the bottom here. So pretty simple functionality. And again, it's not live just yet. It will be coming out soon. So that is adding a task, or creating a new task inside a workflow. So the same functionality is going to be available to you from the scenario level. So if I was to click Scenarios, I created a scenario just for this class here. So I'm going to click Steps to go inside my scenario. And just to keep things really simple, I'm going to scroll down, and I have that same basic admission workflow entered into my scenario here. So I'm going to click Insert. I'm going to insert that same 998 that I inserted. And then now I know I've decided that at the workflow level, I created a very basic task that's just enter details into the COVID screening. So now I decided I'm actually going to create a task that's a little bit more specific and calls out some of the fields that are actually inside the questionnaire. So you can see the new task link is beside our search field here. So it's going to function exactly how it did at the workflow level. So I'll click the new task link, and you can see I've got my same fields here. And I'll call it document, detail, COVID training. That's fine now. And so again, I'm going to select my product, my application, and my function. Again, same options here with the roles and role types. I'm just going to select nurse for now, just to keep things pretty simple. So now I'm going to say I want to call out some of the specific fields. So select option for severe chest select option for fever. And that's fine for now, and I'll just say details are retained. And so again, the save is going to be displayed at the bottom here. I click Save. So when I've done that, It's the same as if I was to search for a task and then select the task. So you can see that now my task name is displayed here beside the task field. So then I'm going to want to select my position from the drop-down list. I'll need to click add, and then I'll get the red notification to tell me that my task was added. And then I'm going to just click finish because that's the only task I'm going to add for now. And now you can see that my task was added to the spot that I inserted above. So just like anywhere else in TransIT, the task name is highlighted in red to show me that that was the last task that I worked on. And again, all of the same details was brought in just like it would any task that was created. So those are the only steps that are involved for creating a new task inside a workflow and a scenario. So now I'm actually going to turn it over to Patty so she can discuss plans.
Okay, and hopefully everybody can see my screen now. I'll give it a second if it's taking a minute to paint. So with Angela's demonstration, she didn't give you a date, and so I will give you a date. We are targeting to bring the new features and functions in on July the 4th. So for those of you who've been around for a long time, you might know that that'll be the 8-year birthday of TransIT, and so we are targeting to try to get all of this done by then. The first version of plans is still being developed, and so I'm hoping that after I give you a brief demo, we're going to open it up for questions, and if anybody has suggestions of things they'd like to see added. They may be things that are already on the development queue, but they also may not be. So as you can see, there's a new option available in the menu, and it's called Plans. When I go inside Plans, it takes me to a new area where we house our plans. So it is similar to using a Excel spreadsheet for doing a cutover or a clinical cutover, or can also be used like Microsoft Project for doing any small project plan. So I know a lot of our clients buy licenses of project for their project managers, but don't necessarily buy them for their analysts. And if you're running a small project and would like to create yourself a task list, this would be a feature and function that you can use. And so because it's part of TransIT, it comes along with your license. I will say that the plans go against your number of scenarios. So I've built 3 small examples for today. And as I said, not all the features and functions are working yet, but I thought it was far enough along that we wanted to show all of you who have been pretty good about coming to these lunch and learns the functionality that's coming. So the first thing I'm going to go and look at is a departmental readiness checklist example. So same as the rest of TransIT, when you want to go inside, you'll click the name of the link, and it takes you inside, and it does sort of look Microsoft Project-like. So we've got the type of activity, the activity that's going to occur, who it's assigned to, the planned start date. There's a space to put a finish date, how long the duration is, and these fields are editable. So maybe it was a 2-hour meeting that you were having, a place for the status so that when something's completed, you can go in and mark it completed, etc. And then a place for a category, the group who owns it, which you see I haven't filled in, and then comments about those tasks. So this is a way to, again, allow people who aren't necessarily tied directly into your IT department to have access to update you when they've finished something. So departmental readiness checklist is one of those things where you might be assigning tasks outside the department, and it would be the same as inviting SMEs to come and participate in testing, that there's no extra cost for that in TransIT. All you would have to invest is the 5 or 10 minutes to train those people on how to use it. So this is one sort of an example. The second example that I have built out is the clinical cutover plan. So I know in doing a lot of clinical cutovers that it's really hard to get communication back from the floors. And typically we split the clinical cutover between nursing and pharmacy, and it's hard for them to communicate back and forth on the specific patients and which ones they've completed. So obviously you would never want to put PHI into TransIT, but you would have the ability to build out a plan in TransIT using your location, room, and bed as the indicator of what patient it was, and then put in the components that each of the clinicians is supposed to put in, and they would be able to go in and mark those as complete as they go through. As well, they'd have the ability to put in notes if they wanted to communicate between people on the team. That's the second example. The third example that I have built out for today is a clinical cutover. And I know that most of you are on Cerner systems, and I know Cerner's got their multi-tab workbook built out for the clinic or for the technical cutover, and that each team independently builds their tab, and then you build them together into a higher level tab, and that it's really hard when you're in that cutover mode to actually keep checking that plan back in and allowing everyone to do their updates. So again, because this is TransIT, multiple people can update it at the same time, and therefore you can build the entire technical cutover into a single plan, and then just have people come in and put their updates in here. Functionality that's coming that's not available yet is there'll be another description column besides the comments one, and that could have more detail, and then you could use the comments one for putting in any of the links to any of the external workbooks, etc. So a lot of other things you could use this for, like I said, small project plans. So if you have a 15, 20 line project plan that you're using now for every time you add a new lab orderable and who needs to do what to get that to be ready to test, then that could be built and housed in here and would be a permanent one, so that every time you do that, you use that same plan. Those sorts of things will be really nice here. So there's going to be the ability to go back here and copy plans. So if, like I said, you were using it for new lab orders or any kind of new build, floor moves, any of those things, you would just create a plan once and then keep copying it for those new additions. So I'm going to put it back inside the clinical cutover here. And then Ange, if you can unmute everybody, and we'll see if anybody has any questions or any feedback on this new feature plans.
So I'm not sure how to unmute all. I just see mute all. But everybody should be able to unmute themselves.
Okay, if anybody has a question, then please go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay, so if not, then I will say that our goal is to try to get this ready for, as I said, July 4th. As always, if you do have any questions, you can always email this support@makeSolutionsInc.com, listed at the bottom here, and we will continue to post these lunch and learns to our YouTube channel that's also accessible from our website. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.